In majority of cases, novated leasing sucks and is a bad idea, at least in Australia, in April 2025. In my humble opinion, I have had a lot of videos on novated leasing of this Subaru Outback 2023 model, and today I'll tell you how to make your novated leasing undertaking a success, okay? Based on my experience and pitfalls and things that I don't think you should repeat as they led to real problems. You can watch the whole saga of those videos. I'm not going to repeat everything, only some key points, and they'll be summarized for you in this video, my friends. Why do I think it sucks? I think it sucks because it puts you into a bind and creates a financial obligation and an extra mini loan, mini mortgage kind of situation for you when you may not truly need it. You just act on a whim, you act in a moment, you want a fresh new car smell, and the car costs $50,000-$60,000 that you have not in your pocket and you do not want to fork it out, like it happened to me with this car. So that acting on a whim, that hypothesis that you have not properly validated and thought that you do need that new brand new vehicle with the help of novated leasing, that's your first pitfall to watch out for. If you don't think that your job, what you do, your personality, conditions, anything else promises that you will be with your current employer that supports salary sacrifice and car loans and novated leasing, essentially, if you don't think that you're going to last at the same employer for 3 years, which is a medium kind of term for novated lease, or even further on, even if you're like an idiot like me and you decided to take a longer term novated lease and go for 5 years, thinking that it will improve your cash flow because the repayments are a little bit smaller. Of course they are. Well, mate, if you don't think you're gonna stay with the same employer, please do not buy into this fake fine print. I'm gonna elaborate on this. It's not fake, but in reality it turns out to be fake. Fake fine print of transfer of novated lease between novated leasing companies is easy. It may be verbal fine print, it may be something that somebody said to you, it may be something that you read between the lines there in their FAQs on their website, but I knew that I change my jobs often due to what I do. In terms of business change, business transformations, they never go forever. I'm not one of those people. I move between companies. That's what I do, okay? I provide professional services and I move on. Typically, my moving on between companies is around ballpark of 2 years. Sometimes, due to how contracts work, for me, it's even more so, and it's unpredictable. It may be longer, it may be shorter. By now, right now, sitting here talking to you in the car, this is a third employer who now backs up my novated lease. So there were 2 transfers of novated lease for this car in between, not 1, 2, okay? By now, and I'm feeling this hurt second time compared to maybe the first video I posted even on this topic on my channel. Like, don't repeat this mistake. And my whole conversation mainly back then was about that. Now I know more, a lot more about it. So, mate, it's a world of hurt. Why? This is what they won't tell you. What they won't tell you is that it will take ages to transfer your novated lease. Without making the video too long, I would say it may take about 3 months to transfer the lease. Yes, that long, 3 months. 3 months will be a virtual gap between your salary sacrifice and one employer paying, then you're leaving this employer, starting with another employer. You might even start straight away like I do. I don't have a gap in employment. But by the time this employer talks to your original company that is the financier of this thing. So the first novated leasing company that bought this car for you, they are the financier. So you also think, and that is another mistake that I would like to warn you about. You may think that after you went through these 3 months, whatever it is, of transferring of your lease and like, oh, finally it's done. You think that everything, every bit of paperwork, every dollar has been transferred to that new company and to your new employer to now back you up. That's not the case. Everyone still, at the very least in April 2025, says that novated leasing makes more sense for you financially if you are doing a lot of kilometers, if you're doing a lot of kilometers in this car. So, yep, there is a point for you. So think, I don't do it. Yeah, so stupid decision. And second, is if you're buying an EV in Australia. We're talking Australia here. So there are some fringe tax benefits, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, ultimately it means that you get the car cheaper at a more of a discount or whatever. I'd say I probably had between 5 and 6 months, of the overarching duration of me owning this car, of not being covered by any kind of taxation benefits, taxation stuff, paying out of pocket essentially for that gap when the novated lease ended in one company and hasn't formally started with another company. Even if I was already working there, had all my stuff in order, had all paperwork, everything was prepared. So in case you're just catching up, I can tell you that you think, well, you should just have your paperwork and everything else prepared when you're ready to move. I did. It has nothing to do with this. Everything I'm telling you has something to do with the actual process. Okay, next point that you don't know and they will not tell you about novated leasing nightmare. It is the fact that I got to know quite a few people who were handling my novated lease transfers and who were my novated leasing officer, however you want to call that person, on the novated company. By the way, lovely people, individually. I got to know them reasonably well, not on a friendly footing, but on a professional footing, and we spoke one too many times about this car transfer, so I learned a lot from them. And I can tell you, without naming anyone, without naming companies, because I don't want those people to be in trouble. I don't think they should be or will be, but here is the truth. People who are transferring novated leases between the companies. I'm not saying in every novated leasing company, how would I know? But I'm saying in those that I dealt with. Those people are wonderful, lovely people who are doing God's work, but they are very few and far in between and very, very, very understaffed. They have I'm gonna use a technical term here, a crap ton of these requests of transfers and other God knows what they're dealing with to basically make it happen for you. Which is why, unfortunately, no matter how good they are, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, as they say. So, as unpleasant as it is for them to be nudged by you or whatever, prepare that this turns into a weird dance of back and forth of you nudging, prodding, following up. Hey, have you received these documents? Or I've just contacted them. Have you received these documents? Novated leasing companies can tell you whatever they want about, oh, we just followed due process and we just follow the next request in the queue and we have a billion request queue, which is probably true. But I can tell you from my experience, and it's an unpleasant place to be in because I'm not a complainer and neither am I the guy who constantly annoys others or wants to annoy others. But I will tell you, if you want your novated leasing transfer or any other novated leasing related request to go through with reasonable speed, or I'm just gonna say faster, then you would have to call them periodically. Hopefully don't bombard them, don't spam them. I'm not promoting that. But you will have to nudge, you will have to prod, you will have to put it upon yourself. I'm not saying to project manage this process, but you would have to absolutely get involved in this. You can't just submit a request and then sit there. I mean, you can, but then speculatively, you will sit there and wait not for 3 months, mate, but for 6. You know what I'm saying? It's a freaking nightmare. Like when I say that to you, I have no financial benefit and no other benefit to tell you this BS or whatever. You know, I'm just sharing my experience, how my novated lease transfers and ownership has gone. Another point. Salary sacrifice, not the lease itself, not the car loan itself, but the packaging that any decent, half-decent company, such as novated leasing companies, offers you. Any decent company gives you a salary packaging, which means that they include in your loan, in your repayments, they include things like tire replacements, windscreen replacements, fuel cards. Let's just focus on fuel cards as the easiest use case here to talk about. Fuel cards, car servicing, that kind of stuff, right? Mate, so 2 things here. First, you need to be diligent enough, and it seems like an easy thing, but trust me, it's not. You need to be diligent enough in order to properly benefit from this. You need to be diligent about using those cards, for example. Otherwise, some cost that you think is packaged is still out of your pocket. I'll give you a great example. I have 2 fuel cards. Well, at first I had 1, now I have 2. For Ampol petrol stations and BP petrol stations. Due to where I am, due to how I drive, due to where physically my path goes, where I drive, more often than not, the prices at those Ampol and BP are higher. And geographically, those petrol stations are located out of my way compared to, let's say, the no-name ones, or like, the name will not tell you something, it's probably a private business. It's called Carplay petrol stations. They are just on the way in Ryde, New South Wales, all over the place. They're small, but they're cheaper. Petrol is cheaper, and they're right on my way very conveniently. They don't take those fuel cards, mate. They don't take the fuel cards. So you will not benefit from having those fuel cards and that packaging of the fuel. You will still do it out of your pocket. And before you tell me, so second point, before you tell me, but Dimitri, you could just take a receipt and then submit a receipt. Yes, mate, I'm aware of that. And I've done this a couple of times. It's a freaking nightmare. Some Novated Leasing companies have apps, mobile apps, that make it a little easier to scan, submit, blah, blah. Some Novated Leasing companies, sadly, my current Novated Leasing company has some 1960s website. Yes, they do. 1960s website that works badly. Performance of the website is horrible. There is some kind of horrible delay in how you can submit the receipts. And there is also, stupidly enough, some kind of constant budget/limit of how much you can claim. So if I have some receipts right now here, like piling up, because true story, bro, true story, okay? So some freaking receipts here, like ready to be submitted and reimbursed, yeah? Because I've exceeded my, let's say, budget of that month of submitting reimbursements for over, I don't know, I can't remember, speculatively, let's say $600 or something, right, whatever. So I want to like catch up. I want to submit these receipts and you know, before they have processed because manual, it looks like a manual person. So the portal, that website, the 1960s website that they have, is only there to submit stuff. But then when you start submitting this stuff, they are taking their time to process the whole thing and, you know, make sure that that thing was processed and that budget has freed up for the next month, whatever. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm just an average Joe who is sick and tired of this system that's there for you. But it's horrendously inconvenient to use. And I can tell you, if you think, oh, this and that, mate, it's gonna be harder than you think, okay? It's gonna be harder than you think, is what I'm saying to you. So anyway, I will stop ranting. It's been a long enough video. If some of you are still watching, I really appreciate you. You are the pillar of my community. I do appreciate you. Those of you who talk to me, I particularly appreciate you, but I love everyone who is non-toxic and who is supportive and stuff. You don't have to agree with me. Some of you very much over the time kind of gave me a friendly nudge and said, mate, you're an idiot, whatever. Like, I take it in good spirit, as long as you're not being toxic, right? But hopefully it helps you. Hopefully it helps someone to avoid Novated Leasing nightmare in Australia under those conditions that I described to you. Maybe it's right for you. Maybe it's perfectly right for you, mate. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm very happy for you. But this is the truth. This is what it is. If it helps, give me a quick like. If it doesn't help, but you're my regular subscriber and you watch this whole video and you'd like to support simply my channel, give me a like anyway, so that algorithm can show my videos to more people who may benefit from it, even if it's not just for you. Let's not be selfish here. All right, thank you for watching, mate. I'll talk to you next week about something else, value cars related in Australia. Goodbye for now.